Alright, what is going on everyone? It is Super here and welcome to another Injustice 2 video. Today we have another Q&A video for you guys. We're getting very close to the reveal of hopefully, two new characters. Well, it's probably going to be one new character and one returning character, but I'll talk about that in a whole separate video coming up here very soon. But today we have a Q&A video for you guys. So as always, if you have your own question, make sure you guys leave it in the comment section. And if I've answered it already, I'll just answer it in, reply to your comment. So let's get it started here. M. Davis asks, actually that's not the first question, but I will be answering M. Davis' question. But the first question comes from Ryan, and he asks, if you could have any Marvel character in Injustice 2, who would it be and why? And before I answer this question, I know there's always gonna be people saying, oh, he's a Marvel character, there's no way that he's gonna make it in Injustice 2. And we all know that. Everyone watching this video knows that. This is a hypothetical question that people are curious about, or that Mr. Ryan is curious about. So I'm definitely going to answer it because, it would be awesome. Zero chance of that happening. We all know that. So don't fucking comment it. Thank you. All right. So the number one character who I would pick would definitely be Deadpool, just because he looks like he would fit the best in a fighting game like Injustice. He fit really well in Marvel's Capcom 3. Obviously that's all the Marvel characters, but I think Deadpool would be really cool, and his intro dialogues is the number one reason why I would pick him, because especially if Ryan Reynolds voices him, and just Deadpool's intro dialogue with everyone would be fucking hilarious. But if it wouldn't be Deadpool, it would definitely be Magneto, because Magneto is my favorite Marvel character of all time. I've loved Magneto since the X-Men animated series back in the 90s. I just absolutely love Magneto. He was my main character. I used MSP. Yeah, I'm guilty. I'm a fucking tier whore. I used MSP in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And I love Magneto. I'm not really big into, like the Avengers type characters. Like Iron Man would probably be... I'm not really into the Avengers movies or the Marvel movies too much, except for the X-Men characters, because I grew up watching those. I love those. If you're talking about Iron Man from, the fighting games, yeah, I'm definitely into that. Spider-Man and Venom from the fighting games, yes. But, as far as the movie ones, that's why I never really get too excited about Marvel movies, because I really never like those characters like that. But I've always absolutely loved the X-Men, and Magneto was my number one always. So if I had a choice between any character for Marvel to make it into Injustice, hypothetical question, it would be Deadpool number one, Magneto number two. Number three would be Psylocke, because Psylocke is the bae of Marvel for me. So moving on here, John asks, do you think there would be an Arkham Knight gear set for Batman, Harley, and Red Hood if he makes it? Also, how rare would they be? Well, John, there's going to be multiple, gears that people are going to be able to get. The top of the top, I believe, are legendary gear systems or gear pieces. And there aren't going to be too many of those, because obviously they want the top to be the prize, the top prize. So they're not going to make too many of those. But yeah, if you're talking about a gear set that's going to make, the costume look like an Arkham Knight type costume, yes, for sure there will definitely be an Arkham Knight costume for Batman, Harley Quinn, and Red Hood if he makes it. So moving on here, M. Davis asks, who do you want more, Nightwing, Dick Grayson, or Martian Manhunter? To be honest, I would prefer Martian Manhunter, because I think his gameplay would be a lot more interesting than Nightwing. So moving on here, Ahmed asks, do you think Rorschach has a chance to be in Injustice 2? I would love Batman versus Rorschach. I think his moveset and his dialogue would be awesome to see. And to be honest, Ahmed, I think out of all the Watchmen, Rorschach is the character who would be the most likely to make it. As much as I would love Dr. Manhattan, a lot of people have pointed out that Dr. Manhattan would be a really hard character to pull off in a fighting game like Injustice, because he is so overpowered and he is so strong that, it would be hard for him not to be overpowered in the game. So out of all the Watchmen, I definitely think Rorschach has the best chance of making it. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Rorschach will make it. If not in the first 28 characters, he will make it as a DLC character. So moving on here, Alexander asks, who from Mortal Kombat would you like to see make an appearance in Injustice 2? Well, I think for me, the number one Mortal Kombat character I would like to see in Injustice 2 would probably be Aaron Black. And, you know, it's just because I'm biased. But if Aaron Black wouldn't make it, because I think, you know, the number one reason he wouldn't make it is because he's new. You know, MKX is his first appearance. And you already have Deadshot, who plays a lot like Aaron Black. So my second choice would definitely be Sector or Triborg. You know, it would be really, really cool to have, you know, Triborg be a default character that maybe has one move per robot. Like he has the Ice Beam, he has the homing rocket from Sector, he has the bombs from Cyrax, and he has a teleport like Smoke. That would be awesome, like if they had one, because in Injustice you could actually customize the color of your character. So you would be able to pull off a, you know, Cyrax look, Sector look, Cyber Sub look, Smoke look, because you could customize your character. So Triborg would be, you know, the character to, like, he would definitely be like the best pick for Injustice in my opinion. So moving on here, Kid Duplicate asks, how would you feel about a Star Wars fighting game by NetherRealm, or maybe a Marvel fighting game by them? Well, Kid Duplicate, I think a Star Wars fighting game from NetherRealm would be fucking awesome. I think that they would never be able to work on a Marvel fighting game, obviously, because they're, you know, partnered with WB. But, you know, NetherRealm is just amazing at making fighting games, period. They could work with, you know, the Marvel characters if they somehow ended up, you know, obviously hypothetical question here, if they were to end up in the future making a Marvel fighting game, yeah, it would definitely succeed and people would trust it. People would trust NetherRealm and it would be very successful. The same thing with Star Wars. If they, you know, if Disney ever hired NetherRealm to make a Star Wars fighting game, like the one in, I forgot, there was a Star Wars fighting game that I used to have on like the PlayStation 1. I forgot what it was called, but it was so bad, so bad. But I was a kid back then, so I didn't know it was a bad fighting game. But you had Luke in there, you know, you had Boba Fett in there, you know, so Star Wars has a lot of characters that could translate over into a fighting game very well. So like I said, hypothetically, if Disney were to ever hire NetherRealm, it would be awesome for them to make a fighting game with Star Wars characters. And literally everyone would trust NetherRealm to work on any fighting game. It could be a Marvel fighting game, it could be a Street Fighter, it could be, you know, obviously Mortal Kombat, Injustice, DC characters, and Marvel characters. Any fighting game NetherRealm will do, people would trust it because they have a great track record of making amazing fighting games. So moving on here, Shao asks, do you think that Huntress and Poison Ivy could make it into Injustice 2? And I don't think Huntress could make it. I'm just gonna be honest here. I think I don't know, maybe she has a big fan base, but I definitely think out of these two characters, Poison Ivy would be a no-brainer for NetherRealm. I think they missed out on her big time in the first game, and I don't think they're gonna snub Poison Ivy in back-to-back Injustice games. There's no way. If she doesn't make the 28 character roster, she has to be DLC, because she is a fan favorite, you know, female DC character in general. I was gonna say Batman character. She's just you know, one of the huge fan favorite female DC characters. So if Poison Ivy's not in there, I actually had Poison Ivy in my 28 character roster prediction. If she's not in there, it's gonna be really, really disappointing, not only for myself but for a lot of people too. So moving on here, last question comes from Pabs, and I believe I might have answered this question before. I'm not really sure though, but I want to answer it here because there's a new character. So Pabs asks, who will you be going into the lab with the most from the characters that have been revealed? So since he asked this question, of course Harley Quinn and Deadshot have been revealed as new characters. And if you guys don't know, going into the lab is pretty much just going into training mode and practicing and, you know, working on your, you know, combos, your punishes, your reactions, your anti-air, stuff like that. It's just pretty much like a scientist. You go into training mode, that's your lab, going into the lab. So little fighting game community slingo for you. Or lingo, slingo. Oh my god, slang and lingo. I compared to it's a new word, slingo. There you go, fighting game slingo for you. But out of all the characters, the number one for me will definitely be Deadshot. Out of these characters revealed, Deadshot would be the character that I spend the most time in the lab with. You know, out of these characters. But of course, you guys know me. I love playing a variety of characters. I love going into training mode. I actually enjoy training mode so much. So I'm going to be playing with every single character, but out of all these, Deadshot would definitely be the number one. So that's going to be it for today's Q&A video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.